Today we're going to have a look at some different data types, and we're going to look at three data types. So the first one we're going to look at is a string, and a string is text. So we show strings inside either these double inverted commas, or we can show it inside the single inverted commas. I prefer the double inverted commas just because if you've got an apostrophe like this, let me change this, then it will kind of read the whole thing. But if you only had a single quotes there, it kind of messes things up. I just think it's easier to keep it there. So text is a string, and we can just show that. I can just print out the type of this variable that I've created here called string, and it should show us when we run it that it is in fact a string. Yeah, it's saying the class is a string. Okay, great. So we've got a string. That's our first one. The next type of data type we're going to look at is an integer. An integer is a whole number. And this time we don't put it inside inverted commas, so we could just have a number like this. And then when I print this, the type of this variable here that I've called integer, but it could have been called anything. I could have called it number, for example. It's shown us that it is in fact an int, which is short for integer. Okay, let me just change this back because I do want to have a distinction. So if you put it inside inverted commas like this, that would be classed as a string. Okay, so that is handled slightly differently by Python, and we don't want that. There's certain things that we want to do to the variable, to the data, and we can't do it if it's a certain data type. And the last data type that we're going to have a look at is called a float, and a float is a decimal number, so something like 4.6. And again, that doesn't go inside inverted commas, it just stays as it is, and Python will handle that. So you can see we've now got our string, our integer, and our float. Okay, so what we're going to do now is I want to ask the user for a few things. I'm going to ask the user for a whole number. Okay, now to do that, I am going to assign it to the x variable. Just by convention, that's what we do. We start with x and y and then z if we need to. I'm going to take an input and I'm going to say what is x, for example. Okay. After I'm just going to print out the type of data that x is. So I'm just going to put in here the number 5. So it's telling me that x is a string, even though I've put in an integer here, I've put in a whole number, but by default input will always be a string. It's always going to default to a string. It's not going to try and convert it for you. So what we need to do is we need to convert this x variable into an integer, and so I could do something. I could make a variable that converted integer equals I need to turn it into an integer. I use int, short for integer, and then in brackets the name of the variable that I wanted to do. So let me just convert to an integer, and then I'm just gonna print out this type of data for the converted integer here. So let's just have a look at what that looks like. So 6. Okay, so it's telling me first of all it's a string, so it's printed out as a string. I've converted it into an integer, and now good, it is converting into an integer. If we know that we're going to be doing this anyways, we could automatically convert what the user types in here into an integer by writing int there, and we're going to convert whatever this input is into an integer. You see I've opened my brackets here and I've done a closed bracket at the end for that int. Now when I run it, type in 6, it's telling me that it is an integer already, so I don't need to worry about converting it again because it is already converted to an integer. So let's say that I now want to ask the user for a decimal number. So this time I'm going to name my variable y, and I'm just going to start with my input. What is y? And then again I'm going to print the type of variable that this is, but we think, or presume it's going to be a string anyway, so this time, so this is going to be a decimal number, so 3.5, and it's as a string. Okay, so again we could convert to a float here, so it could say converted float equals now to convert into a float we use the keyword float and then the name of the variable that I want to convert, and then again I'm just going to type the data, so I'm just going to print out the data type for this converted float, 3.6. Good. Okay. I'm actually just going to print out x as well under here, and let me print out the converted float for you. Let's just double check that works. 6. Yep, so it's an integer 6, 7.5. Okay, so it starts as a string, which is this print here, and I convert it and it's a float, and you'll see it's printed like this. Now again, we can turn this into one line of code by automatically converting it into a float when we take the input, and so I don't need to have any of this where I'm converting it a bit later. For yeah, good, 6.4. Okay. Because this converted float now doesn't exist, so we'll get this name error for name for the converted float 5, 7.8. Okay, good. It is as a float. Just so you know, if I typed in an integer here, if I then also typed in an integer here, okay, it's going to convert it into a float because all integers are floats. All whole numbers can also be decimal numbers, just by adding the 0.0 on the end. It's still classing it as a float, even though we know it's an integer, but you'll see that it's got the point and then the 0, just showing you that it is a float. Okay. Right, the last thing I want to do, so we're going to be working on a calculator. So after I've kind of got a couple of numbers, I then want to get an operator, which is going to be something like I'm going to ask the user to either type in and add, subtract, multiply, or divide. Okay, and then let me just print the type of variable. Let me just add a comment here. Ask the user for an operator. So I've got a couple of numbers here for 5.7, and then and I'm going to do the add. Good, and that is classing it as a string. Now I want it to be a string, but if for whatever reason I had another variable and I wanted to convert it, we can use the str keyword, str, like this. That will convert it into a string, but by default Python will take the input as a string, so we don't need to worry about that too much. I'm just going to delete these lines of code here. So we've got, very simply now, we've got two numbers here that are being asked for, and then we're being asked for the operator as well, and we've converted this input here into a whole number, into an integer, and we've converted this input here into a float decimal number. We haven't converted the operator because by default we want that to be a string, and we're happy with that.